This clip is brought to you by VegasWinners.com. Get expert sports betting advice from some of the best handicappers in the world. Head on over to VegasWinners.com and win yourself some money.
Sort of set the stage. We're 2 weeks removed from Bret Hart announcing his return to the ring, which we covered last month. And now in between time, some news. First off, let's discuss that in between Bret Hart challenging Steve Austin to Survivor Series, there was the Superstars that airs, which would show an in-ring interview with Brian Pillman holding the microphone for Steve Austin. And the Bret Hart interview would air live on October 21st. So that Superstars episode that we're talking about was literally taped the next night, October 22nd, and it's going to air on the 27th. And that's going to be in a town that's near and dear to Brian's heart, Cincinnati, Ohio. But let's talk about the Superstars taping. Were Steve and Brian excited to be working together again? I mean, obviously we saw them as a tag team that was a real fan favorite over in WCW, the Hollywood Blondes. Now they've changed addresses. They're here with the World Wrestling Federation. So we got that knowing glance back at King of the Ring where they just pass each other in the aisleway. But now, hey, we're finally going to do a Superstars taping together. And of course, we know that's going to end with Steve Austin attacking the shattered ankle or shattering the reconstructed ankle of Brian. Are they excited to be mixing it up again and working with each other again?
I think they were excited to be able to contribute to the creative and create a story around those two, again, to the best degree that it can be done. But yeah, I think they hoped it would be fun, obviously. But they loved each other so much, those two guys. They were just great. They fed off each other. They fed each other's creativity and each other's passion. So I would say, yes, absolutely. They were excited about the opportunity. And I'm not so sure how much planning they had in the creative, but knowing Austin and knowing Brian, as I did, they're going to contribute to the creative to some degree. So it was fun to watch them brainstorm and get to where they were going to go. But again, the audience here can be the judge. That was pretty good, or not so much.
I want to mention the way that angle really got kicked off last month when we watched Bret announcing that he was coming back to the WWF. We got a backstage look at Steve Austin watching on a monitor. And when Bret officially announced, Pillman sort of clapped and cheered in celebration. And now we're going to have a big confrontation here on Superstars at the taping the very next day, where Brian Pillman is going to have to answer to that, to Shawn Michaels. And we're going to play a little audio from that. And this is directly from Superstars. This aired on October 27th. So it would have been the week before what we're about to see on Monday Night Raw. Take a listen.
Well, this should be a most interesting interview. I know that Austin's got a lot to say about the return of Bret the Hitman Hart, the man that Austin will meet November the 17th at Madison Square Garden at the Survivor Series.
Tell me a little bit about doing commentary on these Superstar shows. Did you enjoy that? How would you compare that to doing a Monday Night Raw in this era?
Mindset-wise, it was the same because we did live to tape. So there was a net there in case you really screwed up, and as I've been known to do from time to time in recent years, or so I'm told.
Let's take a listen to Brian Pillman here.
We've been friends a long time. I probably know you better than anybody else. That's why I know how excited you must be with the announcement live on Raw that Bret Hart is going to come out of this semi-retirement and answer your challenge at Survivor Series. It's finally going to be your chance to prove yourself.
I sure as hell saw how excited you were when you jumped out of your chair like some kind of cheerleader. Don't even start talking yet, because I ain't through, son. Then you went out there and you shook his hand. It ain't time to start kissing up to Bret Hart yet. Lived up to the biggest challenge of his life. And shut up. I ain't never had to prove myself to nobody.
Steve, I know how frustrated you are. I know the disappointment you've had throughout your career. It's understandable. A little bit hot on me. I got caught up in the moment. Very emotional. I was excited that I was going to finally get to see you answer a lifelong dream at Survivor Series in the city that never sleeps, the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden.
And you can listen to me, you little crippled freak.
Hey, come on.
Everybody knows that at one time I carried you to a world championship. Everybody knows that one time you rode in my back pocket.
Wow.
Madison Square Garden, Bret Hart, you're going to find out. Bret Hart's going to find out. The whole damn world's going to find out. I will do exactly what I say. I am going to whip his ass. Well, there you have it. Austin versus the best there was, the best there is, and the best there was.
Hey, wait a minute. Wow. What a cheap shot by
Austin didn't want to hear that.
Austin with a cheap shot on Brian Pillman. Pillman is just getting assaulted here by Austin. Austin stomping away at the crippled Brian Pillman.
Oh, no.
Austin just broke that cane right across Pillman's ankle. And now go here.
Well, you got to respect Stone Cold Steve Austin. Look at this guy.
That's Mr. Perfect, by the way. Everybody's wondering.
The style. I love exactly what he's doing. Take it to him.
But Pillman's a crippled man.
I don't care who
He
he
can't
is.
defend himself.
I don't care. Then get out of wrestling if you can't defend yourself. It's the World Wrestling Federation. Either shut up or put up or do something.
Austin's like an animal here.
Oh, wait a minute.
Pillman's ankle. Oh, my God.
Wow.
I think you can hear the bone snapping.
Well, not hardly.
Writhing in pain. Don't do it again. Don't do it. Gerald Briscoe. Oh, wow. Briscoe thrown outside. The WWF official hits the floor. Oh, this is. Oh, no. But the damage has been done. Brian Pillman's athletic career may have just ended.
So there you go. The big in-ring attack. I love the pacing of that and the setup and that and the explanation. You know, you sort of got a tease on Raw and it's continued to Superstars. And before you know it, we're going to see what we're going to see here tonight, which is, I don't know, one of the more infamous moments of Monday Night Raw for sure. But I got to say, this promo in hindsight, that segment we just saw, even though it was on Superstars and it's not exactly on Raw, it's really one of the first major things we see with this Stone Cold character. Of course, we know he became Austin, or he created Austin 316 4 months prior in June. But this promo to me really shapes the character of who Stone Cold Steve Austin is more than anything else we've seen yet in 96. Would you agree? Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. How are you so good at handicapping these games? I mean, 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
You know, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. But this is the best start I've ever had. I've never been this good to start a season. You don't win every week, 4 weeks in a row, everything you put out. It's been the kind of year I've had. So get on a hot streak, because when a guy's on a hot streak like me, you want to ride it. I've always had a talent for picking winners. Never quite as hot as I am right now, but I've always been very good at it. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. You know, the average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career. They have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I mean, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework so you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
Yeah, it's good. It set the boundaries as to who the character was, what he represents, who he is. And remember, Steve always just basically played himself, his real self, amplified. So he wasn't working us as much as a lot of guys who play a character and they're perceived, they're going through the motions as if they know what this character would say. In reality, if you're playing a role and you're not a trained actor, sometimes that falls a little bit short. But Austin never did that. He was always himself. And so was Brian. But yeah, you're right, Connie, on this thing. This was a real major step for Austin. It was on the #1 syndicated show in AEW. See, there I go again. In WWE's, in their roster, their lineup, it had great exposure. It was on if they had one clearance in any market, it was Superstars, and generally it was on a good station. So it launched Steve pretty well. He and Brian, I'm sure Brian had a lot of, Brian knew his in-ring stuff was going to be limited going forward, which killed him. It didn't do his psyche any good, didn't do his out-of-ring behavior any good. He was just demolished after that accident in this Humvee. So Steve was willing to give it a shot, and so was Brian, and nobody knew exactly where it was going to go. My issue was never between these two guys. My issue was, did we have to use a gun?
Yeah.
As we'll see. And again, the folks out there watching and listening can make that determination. Was it necessary? Did it add to it? Did it take away from it? That's all subjective. It's all some person's opinion. And so we'll all be able to make that decision on our own here momentarily.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.